So tell me, Brandon. My last set of questions are, there's one thing that Egan talks about, and which you also talk about, which is all these subjects are connected, is what you say, right? There is, for example, there is some connectivity between mathematics, chemistry, physics, and you beautifully put it in your website. Science is weird, where you say, you know what, these are all made up of atoms, and chemistry is about actually this, and I read that it's so fascinating. So do you really believe that this, the way these are all connected, is fundamental to how you then start to think about the concept of science itself?
Yes, absolutely. um, One of the images that we use on our website is a tower that at the bottom says physics, and then the next layer is chemistry, and then biology, and then earth science, then biology, then anatomy, then zoology. That every one of these things is grounded in the thing that comes before it. Um, that that all of these sciences are meant to fit together. The
Hmm.
way that we have made schools, that we have designed these things in schools, comes from the way that these disciplines have evolved over the centuries. And they all come from sort of different starting points. They're all sort of connected to each other, but they have their own sort of origin story. Zoology does, and even different than microbiology or whatever. They have their own ways of doing things. They have their own terminologies and their ways of thinking about the universe. And even different kinds of people tend to go into these different subjects, which is even inside of the sciences, which I think is really interesting. Um, but what we have learned throughout the 20th century, especially, is that all of these subjects are one subject.
Hmm.
That we didn't even know that you used to know that atoms made up molecules, that chemicals were just molecules, right? Um, these are things that ideas like chemicals and cells and neurons and organisms and organs, like we figured these out in different ways, and what we finally knit together is that all of these things are made out of one another, and that the only
Hmm.
way to understand a thing is to break it down and to look at the level, the smaller level of it. And sometimes the only way of understanding that thing then is also the smaller thing is to look at what its function is in the larger whole. um, and that when you do this, when you see that all the sciences are one thing, it's, first of all, it saves a heck of a lot of time. Second of all, it opens up so much curiosity to the students
Hmm.
because they can understand one thing in a chemistry lesson and then start using it. One of the fun things that we do in Science is Weird is every year we go through physics and chemistry and earth science and anatomy and zoology and microbiology or botany. So we keep doing these things, keep having these ideas, and then we connect them up together. That when you see science as one giant thing, you get to it opens up the whole world to students so they can ask questions between these different disciplines. But your question was a bigger one, I think, not just inside of science, but inside of everything. And this is
Yeah.
like the real function, I think, of a good education, is that you get the humanities, and the humanities are integrated with the sciences that are integrated with the arts, and all of
Hmm.
these things you see like are this one one thing. This is something that uh, Indian metaphysics classically gets much better than European metaphysics. That
Absolutely. No, in fact, I'm just reading this out. Kiran Egan's definition of being educated. So I'm quoting him. He
Yep.
says, "You must know enough things about the world, and one must know something in depth." Right. So therefore, this whole Indian metaphysics, where you pretty much want to know multiple things, they're interconnected, and yet you need to know one thing in depth. I think that's really what I think you are also talking about. So that's just fantastic.